My name is Daniel Reed. I'm 40 years old and live in a remote town in California. This happened earlier this spring, not long after I moved into a small apartment in a new complex. It was perfect for a single guy like me. Most of my neighbors were students or people working at nearby stores. Most of the time, it was quiet, except for the occasional TV sounds from the floor below. Nothing unusual. Until one night, after I had taken a shower and was getting ready for bed, I heard a faint sound of water coming from the bathroom. It sounded like the shower head hadn't been turned off properly, and water was dripping rhythmically onto the tiles. When I went to check the bathroom, there was no water on the floor, and the pipe showed no sign of leaking. I thought maybe I imagined it, but the next night, at the same time, I heard it again, the same sound. This time, I cleaned the entire bathroom thoroughly and made sure everything was dry. There were no leaks, no water. On the third night, the sound lasted longer. It wasn't just dripping anymore. It sounded like someone was taking a gentle shower, the kind of sound you hear when the water is on, but with very low pressure. But I hadn't turned on the water at all that day. I was sure of it. I started paying more attention to the other residents in the building. One afternoon, while I was taking out the trash, I ran into a young woman who lived upstairs. During small talk, I asked her, "Have you ever heard strange sounds from the bathroom at night?" She seemed surprised for a moment, then said,
"You heard it too?"
She said she had heard it during her first week after moving in. Sometimes she even heard a faint sound of water coming from the tub, but she assumed it was coming from the floor below. We realized something odd. She and I never heard the sounds at the same time. Sometimes she heard it, and I didn't. Sometimes I did, and she didn't. It was like the sound appeared at different times, and to different people. One night, curiosity got the better of me. I set my phone on a tripod at the bathroom door and started recording. The next morning, I reviewed the footage. The first few minutes were normal, but around the 8-minute mark, there was a faint sound, like someone crying softly. It was a quiet, muffled sobbing, like someone standing in the bathtub, gently showering themselves while trying to hold back tears. I was terrified. I deleted the video and threw my phone out into the hallway. Then I rushed back to bed, shut my eyes, and forced myself to sleep. I ended up lying awake the entire night. That Saturday, there was a small community gathering in our complex. I finally got the courage to ask if anyone knew of anything strange that had happened in my apartment before I moved in. An older man, who had lived there for over a decade, spoke quietly.
"There was a young woman who lived in your unit," he said. "She had depression. One Sunday she took her own life in the bathtub, cutting her wrists. The tub was filled with blood. When the police came to investigate, they found her phone still recording." He paused. "They said the last video on her phone captured the sound of her quietly crying while the water ran over her."
When I got home, the first thing I did was shut off all the water valves in the apartment. I made sure not a single drop could come out. But that night, I still heard it. Only this time, it wasn't dripping. It was the sound of footsteps. Wet footsteps, splashing in a pool of water. I was lying in bed, frozen. I didn't dare move. I was afraid that if I did, whatever was in the bathroom would know I was awake. I kept my eyes shut tight, hiding under the covers. I told myself it was just my imagination, that if I could fall asleep, everything would be fine. I don't know how long I stayed like that. Eventually, I lost consciousness, but just before I did, I clearly heard the soft sound of a woman laughing right by my ear. The next morning I found out it wasn't water, it was blood, dark red blood, and bloody footprints. Footprints that started in the bathroom and led step by step toward the side of my bed. If you're hearing strange water sounds in your room, don't ignore it. Move out before it finds you too.